The year is 2005. You have just pre-ordered Guitar Hero and you're the coolest person on MySpace. I, on the other hand, was completely lacking direction, had been to Burning Man once and had a welder and was sitting idle. My girlfriend suggested we make an art car. Needing a solid base for this yet to be fully understood adventure, I found a 1983 Chevy 1-ton pickup on Craigslist for $500. The seller told me that it runs, but suggested that I trailer it home because he could not guarantee that it would make it to the bottom of his driveway. Being the type to throw caution to the wind, I learned that it actually ran-ish. Okay, on to step 2. Okay, maybe step 2.9.4.3.25. I'm sure I forgot to take a few photos, but here we are now. Plus, do you really want to watch me play with a plasma cutter for 2 days? Still unsure of what we are actually building, we made the executive decision to put 48-inch steel wheels on the front end. This required a slight surgical procedure to the sheet metal to make this possible. It turns out that the engine actually ran really strong after I removed all those fancy-dancy hoses that were trendy back in 1983. Pro tip of the day: you can mount the headers on a small block Chevy upside down. Plumb the top of the exhaust stacks with propane jets, close the carb, and push the accelerator to the floor. While you're doing this, hit the propane cannons. The vaporized exhaust gas will mix with the propane and produce a very nice exploding fireball, just like a top fuel dragster. Big springs. Because we could. This seemed like a really good idea until you have to hold the crank sideways for half an hour. This is the start of something. This is the outer part of the wheel. Off on its maiden voyage to Burning Man, there's unfortunately very little documentation of this build. This vehicle made it to Burning Man probably about 6 or 7 times. Years ago, the radiator failed and dumped water into the transmission. We decided it had a good life and it was time to move on to new adventures. The frame was stripped down and converted into a farm wagon. Many of the artistic components have been reused or are still sitting around for a second life. Here it can be seen at home at the Thunderdome. Pro tip number 2. Lie on the ground while you're taking photos. Everything looks cooler. The flame effects doubled nicely to keep the passengers warm. Here I am doing a detailed inspection of the muffler bearings. Next I will have to look over the Knuten valve. And you thought you couldn't make anything cool out of an old washing machine. The gunner seat was popular, for obvious reasons. The photographer who took this photo gave it to me and said he had a photo of me driving. It's quite an amusing moment as I'm not driving and the person who is driving claimed he did not take the vehicle. And I'm the crazy one. Well, I am, but not for that reason. This vehicle was featured in Unleash the Archers Night We Ride music video.